And good morning, and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday. Thank you guys so much for joining me here this morning. And with that, let's get into honoring God with our body. God, please guard our mind and our thoughts. God, help me fix my thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable, so I will think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. God, please protect our ears and help us listen to your voice. God, help me to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. God, please protect our eyes from sin's damage. God, I make a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully. God, please speak life over our mouths. God, set a guard over my mouth. Lord, keep watch over the doors of my lips. God, please help our hands to serve generously. God, help me to do good to everyone, and especially to those who belong to our family in the faith. God, please protect our reproductive organs and help us to honor you, God, with purity. God, help me to honor you with my body. And God, please protect our feet as we walk along your path. God, let your word be a lamp for my feet and a light on my path. And if this is the first time you are joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News, that is something that we try to say daily just to set our hearts and our minds right for the day as we get into the news. And today we do have a special guest, the Honorable Judge Joe Brown. So let me bring him up on stage. Good morning, Judge. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. But I wanted to start out and ask you, are you okay? Because I know there's been storms going through Tennessee. Some people in Memphis have been without power. I didn't know if you were affected or not.
Well, right now I still have power. There's debris in the yard from a few days ago,
Okay.
tree limbs and stuff like that, but we have an incompetent city administration. So if you take your dog out on the sidewalk and let it pee, everything will break down around here. So, it
I,
is what it is.
I know you ran for mayor a couple of years ago, so you did put your hat in the ring to fix it. So,
Well, it was interesting. For 5 weeks, they wouldn't take any advertising dollars, and they ran somebody else's picture besides mine. There was another Joe Brown that had held a political office, so they ran his
oh,
picture for 5 weeks on the local news channels, on all of the TV stations, and for the local print media. So and he was kind of sick, so they were making comments like it was him, and they refused to mention it was Judge Joe Brown rather than just Joe Brown running for the position. But it was what it was, and they had a big problem around here because they were frantically trying to deal with the fact that they had more votes at certain precincts than they had people who signed in to vote. So, is what it
wow.
is.
But I like again, I do appreciate you for running and just, bringing that information to the forefront. But I'm glad you're here. And my question to you is because you have seen such dynamic changes, I would say, in our voting laws as they've progressed, since the 80s, 90s, and now we're here in the 2000s. There is a push for the black vote. And I wanted to know if you could please talk about the historical value of the black vote and why they're really pushing for the black vote now.
Well, the black voters had everything it needs to be cast for the last 50 years. There are new civil rights. They're all rights that have been on the books for a half century. So there are a lot of race hustlers that go around trying to talk about civil rights leadership when there is none. Um, right now, black people have voting clout, but we don't use it. We get appealed to because of color, but instead of delivering to black constituents, what gets turned into play is for the rainbow. So you vote black, you get rainbow, and nobody gets anything out of it. And like in Memphis, generally the people that hold the offices are basically lacking in character, competence, and credibility. So it is what it is.
Right.
We have devolved.
So you're saying it gets diluted when they go into people of color.
No,
minority
let's not get into
or
people of color. You get Negroes who are race pimps. They hustle
um,
uh, political positions so they can make money. They're not there to deliver anything for their constituents. They're there for selfish purposes. They can't deliver public peace, dignity, and order. They don't deliver sense of purpose, cause, morality, and ethics to the people that they're supposed to represent. They don't deliver good government. They deliver narrow minded, selfish ineptitude, which is pretty embarrassing.
hmm. Yeah,
The
because I
Black
mean,
Caucus, for example, doesn't deliver much of anything for the black voter. It delivers a
mhm,
lot for the rainbow contingent, but you know,
yeah. And that brings me back to when the 1994 crime bill was actually put in place. There were Democrats that voted for it, Black Democrats specifically voted
what's
for it.
wrong with the crime bill? We need a new one, a stronger one, because right now we need law and order where we live. You can't operate
Well,
where
it
you
was
live in
where
an
they
island of
targeted.
chaos.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm talking about
that
the targeting of the bill, that portion of the bill. It
what's wrong with
wasn't
the target?
they targeted black people specific.
Good. If they're out there committing crime, target them. You go to the liquor store, what are you likely to see where you live when it comes to the holdup artist? You go to gas station, what do you run into at the gas station?
Well,
You try to
if you
go
lived
to
in
a club, what do you
California,
run into? Black on black crime.
if you lived in California like I did, it wasn't. It was more Latinos where I
Well, that
lived.
may
I'm
be
just
true, but
saying
I was
in
in
the demographic
California
where
for
I
a
lived,
long
because I
while
lived in
too.
Southern California, where the black population, we were less than 5% of that population. So a lot of the crime that I saw growing up, I'm just saying that I saw a surge in, it was Latino and it was Asian. It wasn't black because there wasn't enough of us. And
Well,
the
it depends
us
on
that
where
was
you happen to be.
there were middle class. Okay.
Well, I
So it
mean,
was a different thing.
granted, black folk lost South Central LA. They lost Compton. Inglewood,
Mhm.
which used to be a place when I was growing up in LA, you just didn't go into if you were black after dark. Now it has become the hood, and we've got Bass, who is just embarrassingly inept, and maybe the mayor of Inglewood. He's trying a little bit harder, but uh, we've allowed so much to happen negatively out there. It's
Okay.
embarrassing. I grew up there, kindergarten through law school, left, and then came back for 15 years when I did the show. And
Okay.
it's still embarrassingly inept. We don't have Tom Bradley's. We don't
Right.
have that ilk. We don't have the movement that you had out there at one time.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's
And
like, what's the point?
yeah, it's really sad because I know recently Karen Bass was pushing for individuals that are legally present to have the ability to vote in our elections. And I'm like,
Goddamn
I thought
fool
that was
move.
reserved for naturalized citizens. I'm just
Well, yeah, but
asking.
she's a damn fool. So you got to ask, why do you want to bring in a new crop of people that broke the law to get here, that take
Mm,
jobs away, that get 5,000 a month for a family, illegal family of four, they get free medical care that cannot be afforded by so many black folk. They get jobs that used to be the domain of entry level black workers who moved on and moved up a bit. You don't find that. The educational system has gone to hell. It's poor. And what happens is that it's pathetic. So, what are the black voters getting out of all of this that they once used
yeah.
to get? And then you have to get back to an American reality. They say that in a system like ours, we get the representation we deserve. If the representation is crappy, so is the population for selecting crappy leadership.
Understood. Understood. And that is the one thing I think that black voters really don't make more of a demand of. It seems like it's more of an emotional vote. then it is a vote. Okay, you said you were going to do this. We are going to hold you accountable. And if you don't do it, we're not going to vote you back into office. No excuses. We really don't do that, in my opinion, as a community. We really
We
just say,
certainly
okay,
don't.
emotionally, we're going to put you in office. And then when we don't get anything, we make excuses for you. It's enablement, in my opinion.
Well,
It's really bad.
what I studied more than half century ago. I used to be with the DC think tank as an intern, and I remember studying some of the writings and instructions on how to raise slaves for fun and profit, so to speak.
Wow.
And one of the most insidious parts of that whole process was interjecting into Black culture certain things that the Negro slave would teach him or herself so that they would become ideal slaves. And the Democratic Party seems to have been in the forefront of that process. They were created 200 years ago to protect and advance slavery. They started the Civil War to protect the institution, uh, Jim Crow, segregation, etc., to maintain its remnants. And they have a process in place where they have a lot of dog whistles built in, so they blow them, and the Negroes line up and vote obediently with wagging tails. So it's kind of embarrassing, actually. I mean, I suppose the next move is poor Jamal out there in the cold. He hasn't known love during the winter, so send $19 a month to the Save a Negro Fund, and things will be better, I guess.
I don't know because with this whole DSA movement, they don't, this is weird. Okay. So you've got the DSA movement and you have certain Democrats saying they don't outright disavow them, but they'll say, well, we don't agree with their, demands basically, but we're not going to disavow them. I'm not sure how they walk this
They're
tightrope
pimping.
politically.
I represented a lot of pimps and hoes years ago
Okay.
in my private practice as a defense lawyer, and we've got a lot of pimps and hoes in office, either direct pimps or the ones that started off as third floor bed wenches that become plantation mammies when they get a bit of gray in their hair. So it's kind of pathetic, but you see it if you know what you're looking for, and there is nothing that's delivered. I mean, what do we get out of it?
Not much. I mean, because I don't want socialism or communism. I really haven't seen anybody come back from Cuba to give me, just their experience on how wonderful communism is and how
I
wonderful
know.
socialism is. But they talk about it as if it's this grand utopia. I'm like, you don't live there. You're on your couch in comfort, talking
Well,
about how wonderful this is.
there's an interesting historical socialist party.
Mhm.
Its acronym is known to history as NAZI, Nazi. Most people think of Nazi as right wing, but actually it's socialist. In the methodology of the far left, the DSA is essentially the same as that of the Nazi Party. They were famous for this thing of tell a lie long enough, loud enough, etc., and getting anyone to believe it through the repetition. And they own the communications industry, the news, and the entertainment industries, and they spread the propaganda quite vigorously, quite loudly, and they have for 50 years, and they've glorified dysfunction. And there's been a devolution of the condition of the black man in America. They've tried to destroy masculinity, and they've done a pretty damn good job of it. And you might be aware of what some call the fight clubs on TikTok, where you see cell phone video of the fights out in the street, and the boys fight like little seventh grade girls. They grab each other's hair and they swing widely. They don't know how to punch. They don't know how to block. They don't know how to move. And it looks kind of girlish. And then you get the big fat girls jumping around, tearing up a fast food place, and you wonder how many children they have that have mamas that act like that. And it's no wonder that we have such problems. We have to get character back in our soul. And there are a number of people on our side who want that now and are getting sick and tired of the other bill of goods they're getting sold and expected to buy for somebody else's benefit. And by the way, they're breaking the law. There's 8 United States Code, Section 1324, that makes setting up a uh, sanctuary city a federal
Mhm.
crime, and it has been for years, giving aid, comfort, advice, counseling, procurement, transportation, invitation to illegals is a crime. And then you've got 18 United States Code, Section 111, that makes interfering with ICE or federal agencies or agents of a felony, and nobody gets prosecuted for those things. And 40
Why?
some years ago, I used to represent people, basically pimps
Mhm.
again, who would bring hoes from West Memphis, Arkansas, across the bridge to Memphis, Tennessee, or from what it was in that ill-begotten series, Pussy Valley in Mississippi, up here to Memphis. And then some of the enterprising pimps would bring in Mexican women who were illegals, and they'd get busted on that. So it's been on the books for quite some time, but nobody prosecutes for it. So here you go. And why black elected officials would want to support that importation of illegal labor, uh, people walking across the border unchecked with backpacks filled with military grade explosives, money coming out of places like Minnesota, where intelligence networks are indicating between 160 million and 300 million dollars have come from Minnesota tax funds through the Somali contingent that have gone to Al Qaeda, ISIS, Hamas, etc. And there's another 911 looming, and nobody seems to be paying attention. Drug trafficking, sex trafficking, uh, gangs, incurable diseases are coming across the border, and people who are supposed to elect us say it's okay, and then they want to talk about how dare them say no mail-in ballots so we can't cheat as easily, which they've been doing in ample order. And then you find this mess that's going on about let's oh my god, to have ID to vote is horrible, and every pimp hoe, murderer, thief, bank robber, thug has got a driver's license. But right now, you have to have a real license with the star because California, New York, New Jersey, etc., wanted to not lose congressional representation, so they are
Right.
importing illegals. And
Mhm.
then people haven't seen passports in 30 years, but they have to get them dug up now so they can get a license with a star, thanks to California and New York, etc., doing
Yeah.
what they do to give them to illegals. So, I mean, what's with the representation here?
Yeah, it is really sad. And I'm glad you brought up the immigration part about, Title 8, Section 1324, because Mandani, I want to say maybe a few days ago when the Haitian migrants, they're obviously being deported, TPS, what that was supposed to end after 18 months was actually ending after 16 years, which is egregious. But he basically said, we're going to make sure that we protect you. And I was like, you do realize you're in violation of federal law. Like, and you're admitting that you will protect these people that are here illegally because it's illegal. After 18 months, you're here illegally. TPS is only for 18 months, 16
Well,
years. How does that even happen?
guess what? That statute specifically says official status is no defense to criminal action under this statute. So
Again,
the Maxine Waters, the Mom Donnies, the idiots to do that, the Tim Waltzes, and all of the bunch that love to set up sanctuary city type situation, the sheriffs, the chiefs of police, the mayors, the governors, they can all go to jail under the statute because it does not give anyone an exemption because of his or her official status.
well, why aren't they going to jail? I mean, I guess in my opinion, where's
Because
the prosecutions? Where
Because what's going on is the Democratic Party does not want to lose at least six congressional positions by 2030, which is 3.5 years from now, 3 years and about a quarter right now, because the last census was predicting that those seats would be lost. So they just want illegals in to be counted so they can push their sick social agenda, which essentially is a bunch of little freak boys needing mental health treatment who want to put on sports bras and panties and beat up on the girls and play voyeur in their restrooms and shower facilities. So, yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah, I don't understand why Homeland Security doesn't just slide over a list and say, "Give me these people. If you don't, you're going to prison." Like to me, that's easy. I'm not going into your city. I'm just making demands on you. And if you do
Well,
not meet my demands as the federal government, you're going to prison because you're hiding these people in your city.
18 United States Code Section 111 makes interfering with federal agencies or agents in the doing of their duty. Read ICE in
Right.
there, and that's a popular pastime. Let's jack around and mess up ICE's operations, and that's penitentiary time. So let's
Right.
go open up some penitentiaries. I'm sure some of the people involved will enjoy the rough trade that they'll get when they get
But what
confined.
I'm saying is, why isn't the DHS referring these to the DOJ so some of these people can be put in prison because Bass should be in prison,
Yeah,
right?
well, they're
My,
trying, but remember the new thing, Trump just prevailed, by the way, when the Supreme Court sent some stuff back and said, you can't enjoin this. So, yeah, that ask the Democratic Party what they're up to. Ask Barack Obama, ask Hakeem Jeffries, and that bunch. Ask Don Lemon, Al Sharpton what they're up to when they start pushing for these things. Ask Bass what's going on. Ask Johnson up in
mm,
Chicago what he's trying to do. Ask Waltz in Minnesota what he's trying to do. And maybe they can tell us, but I know what they're doing. They're just trying to make sure that they don't lose representation in the House so that they can keep pushing their sick social agenda, which essentially means emasculate the country, get rid of manhood, and that's not a good thing for anybody because it gets rid of duty, honor, obligation, accountability, bravery, courage, sense of purpose, morality, ethics, making where you live a better, safer, more secure place filled with
mm.
economic prosperity and sense of purpose. These masculine things go out the window because somebody wants to sissy up the country.
Yeah. Now, do you think they're really trying to, in my opinion, flood the zone and make it so where people are like, "There's too many people. We need to have amnesty." To me, that's their real
Well,
drive and push.
the point is, Article 1 of the Constitution says every 10 years there shall be a census, the primary purpose of which shall be the apportionment of representatives in the House of Representatives.
Okay.
So that's what they're trying to
They
do.
want the
Now, I
numbers.
participated in quite a few census takings as an adult, and 2020 was the first one where
Mhm.
nobody asked me if I was a citizen.
That's true. That's
And
true.
that's because they didn't want it known so California wouldn't lose more
Their
seats.
positions.
That's
Gotcha.
what they want to do by making DC as a state. DC's got maybe 300,000 people, and there's no way in hell they deserve two U.S. senators except
Hmm.
to skew what happens in that chamber of Congress. And if
Gotcha.
people are supposed to get votes, you know the simple solution? Reseed the whole area back to Maryland where they can vote for representatives in the House and senators. And all you need to do is keep the Capitol Mall as the district greatly reduced. It's no longer what it was 230 some years ago when they created the District of Columbia as a governmental center. So just keep the mall and send everybody else back to Maryland, and they can have people in the House and people in the Senate who can vote. We don't need to give them congressional representation in the House and Senate so they can push that rainbow nonsense more vigorously on the country.
Yeah, because it's been very contentious. I mean, between that and then you've got the religion of Islam, which it's interesting because people say a Muslim American. I was like, that's like saying a Christian American. It's weird. Muslim is not an ethnicity. It is just a moniker of someone who practices Islam. That's it. That's all it is. You
Well,
practice
I
you
find it
practice Islam.
interesting. I find it interesting. You've got the Nation of Islam, the black
Right.
contingency, that practice the Islamic faith, and they've been loyal cops, firemen, sheriff's
Mhm.
deputies, soldiers, sailors, Marines, flyboys, you name it. They've
Mhm.
served with distinction through the last set portion of the country's history, and they make good Americans. And the whole thing with Islam is being pushed in an erroneous fashion. For example, some neighbors where I am, there are physicians, it's a couple, and as they pointed out, are we supposed to think negatively of Christians because a certain illicit organization is fond of burning crosses in black folks' yards, or at least they were 100 years ago?
Right.
You
Facts.
know, we've got our share of fanatics,
Mhm.
just like Christianity does,
Yes, it
just like
does.
uh, the Jewish faith does, uh, just like anybody else does. And, you can't put six armed Shiva up in a school. You can't put an image of Buddha in the school. You can't put the crescent in school. You can't
No,
put the six-pointed Hebrew
the
star
star in the
or
schools. No,
the crucifix in a school, but
you
you
know,
can plaster the rainbow all through the hallways, and you can illicitly hang a rainbow flag right under the American flag,
it's a
which is not
religion.
legal.
That's a religion. That's a whole.
It
That's a
is.
whole religion in itself. It's a cult.
Well, that's what's going on right now. You've got a bunch of acolytes, converses, uh, practitioners, too many of whom are in the Black Caucus, and they're Negro elected officials, too many practitioners of the rainbow, and they're trying to help push it as the official theology of the United States. And
Mhm.
they want you to vote black, so they get in and they deliver rainbow. And by the way, what you might want to do is take a good look at the membership of the Black Caucus. It consists of a significant number of white folk. And
Mhm.
if you look at the Black Caucus, I think all but maybe four or five of them are members of what they call the Liberty Caucus,
Yes.
aka the LGBTQIA plus caucus.
Yes.
And
And a lot of them aren't even American citizens, like born
well, no, I'm talking
American.
about the Black Caucus.
Caucus. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but now here's the thing. This is this bothers me. People want reparations, but then you look at who the Black Caucus had for years as the chairman of their reparations committee. It
Mm-hmm.
was somebody from Memphis. His name was Steve Cohen. He's gay, white, and Jewish, but he was head of the reparations committee for the Black Caucus. Now, go figure that one. So he has resigned with the redistricting. And by the way,
Okay.
the Democratic Party wants to holler about that as being racist, but Tennessee hasn't had a black congressional representative in 20 years
Wow.
because the person that comes out of the magic ninth district, which is supposed to be black, has been gay, white, and Jewish for 20 years. And his
Mm-hmm.
main piece of legislation is something that impacts the rules at the cafeteria he eats in every day, the congressional cafeteria, that is. And it requires that they use nothing but paper straws. So, wow, what is that doing for the people of Memphis?
Not much. And that's the really
No.
sad part. We send people to your point to represent, and they get in there and they're kind of tapped on the shoulder and pulled to the side and said, "Well, you could do what your people want you to do, or I could give you this money and you
No,
can do
well,
what you want."
that's the game, but they sell out for chump change.
Mm-hmm.
Memphis ought to be one of the most prosperous and largest cities in the United States as the main point of entry for international trade. It is the
Wow.
distribution point for North America. That's why FedEx, UPS,
Mm-hmm.
the Bulk Mill Center, etc., are located here. And our little rinky-dinky looking airport has the highest flow of commercial tonnage in the world. It's twice the second place location, which is Hong Kong. So it sees a lot of business, but these idiots here don't know how to work it. They don't have any foundation in economics. They're scared to walk out in their neighborhoods. The local mayor shows up at a five-star restaurant with six uniformed cops as his bodyguard because he's scared of the people.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it a complete spectacle. So it's like, what are you trying to do? And they've got some character here by the name of Justin Pearson, who was as boule as it got 6 years ago as anybody, and now he wears an old time afro and a goatee, and he tries to act militant, and he likes to imitate T.D. Jakes and roll around all over the ground and spastically twitch as he throws his coats off. And uh, there is a thing that you might want to write down. It's called followthemoney.org.
Mm.
So write it down, go to that
Okay.
website, and take a look at your favorite local politician and see who's giving him money, when they gave it to him, how much, and what it is for, in consideration of what they do. It's a website that correlates the lobbyist reports and the filings of political office holders or aspirants, and you'll be intrigued by who gets what
Mm.
behind the scenes, like you're impacting a pipeline. Wow, they don't need to put it in this place. And then you find out they're getting given money by the pipeline contingency. So, what are you talking about here?
Okay, so followthemoney.org. Well, thank you so much for joining us here this morning on Unfiltered Vision News. I'll let you have last words.
Well, right behind me, Judge Joe Brown Barbecue. It's good stuff, probably the best you'll encounter unless you know how to make it yourself. And you can go to Judge Joe Brown Barbecue, jjbbbq.com, and you can see pretty Miss Tiffany Haddish and I doing a couple of commercials. And she was in Swimsuit Illustrated, excuse me, Sports Illustrated a couple of months ago in their swimsuit edition, and the sister's looking good. She's been working out, and if you go to Amazon and you've got Amazon Prime, you can get Judge Joe Brown barbecue products delivered to you in 2 days free of charge. Now,
Okay.
we had to change bottlers because the one that we used went out of business. So we are back up again,
Okay.
restocked. So try some of the product. Still summer, you'll enjoy it better than anything else you'll find out there. So
All
it's
right.
good stuff.
Well, thank you definitely for participating. Always a wealth of history and information. We look forward to seeing you back on the show again.
One other thing, you can
Oh, sure.
find me on X at
Mhm.
Judge Joe Brown TV. Judge Joe Brown TV. I'll irritate the far left type and maybe please people that have a modicum of appreciation for masculinity and women who know how to be women. So check it out.
Okay. Well, thanks again for joining us here this morning. We appreciate you. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining the broadcast here with Judge Joe Brown, our guest, and definitely check out the barbecue sauce and the other website that he mentioned, followthemoney.org. And I will make sure to repost both links in our repost. So thanks again for joining us. And remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you in the next one.